And the way the world feels, the way the world sees you, once you high level, is completely different. I would be embarrassed to show up as Jabril of the past and show that version of yourself that he thought he was really doing something. I'd be embarrassed to show you that version of myself that really was in his ego. And in the future, I'd be embarrassed probably to show you this version of myself. So you have to always outgrow yourself, always continue to flow, always continue to flourish, and get to your zenith. And zenith requires flow. See, this is y'all paying attention. These modules that we're gonna have in a high level is gonna break everything down step by step, how you can get to these next levels, right? Because this one is all about mental fecundity. This one is all about mental optimization. This is all about reaching your zenith and becoming high level, becoming a level 5 thinker, right? This is what we need. Let me talk to the fellas real quick. Becoming a high level man. Becoming a high level man. Becoming a high level man requires you to think of yourself not in the physical, but to think of yourself in the mental. In Latin, mens means mind. So even if the women are listening, it's value that you can get from this. In Latin, mens means mind. Why is that important? When we talk about being a man, we are talking about the domain of the mind. A man is not his physical features. A man is his psychic and mental features and mental characteristics and or traits. Inside every man is what we call an anima. Do you see yourself as this masculine or you see yourself as this feminine? And it take on shape and characteristics as a part of this story that you play out. Some men are in what we call the puer artelis, which is this magical thinking of the boy. The magical thinking of the boy is like Peter Pan. He doesn't want to live in a grown-up world. He doesn't want to take responsibility. And he lives in the shell of his thinking. And the reason this happens is because he is so used to being protected by the womb of his parents or his mother, and he has not went through the rites of passage to break out of that womb to have the ability to take care of self. So what happens is, in antiquity, in ancient culture, the Native American has rituals. Rituals are rites, right? They are quests that you can take so that you see and transform your mental animus into the next stage of development. So the difference between being a boy and a man is the mental framework in which you operate off throughout life. A boy requires someone to steward his moves, to tell him what to think, how to dress, how to manage his money, how to manage his life. The boy has to be protected. The boy is not a protector. So when you have parents give you money, they shelter you, they spoil you. When something is spoiled, it is rotten. It is not good. So when you are spoiled as a child, you're just like that food that goes under that condition that's been out too long, that has not been properly treated so that it can grow in its proper environment, or that it can be preserved in its proper environment to grow on its own. You become spoiled. So when a father spoils his son, overly spoils his son, he robs him of the ability to become greater than himself. You have to go through a rites of passage. So in a Native American tribe and some tribes, they would send a young boy out. The boy would have to go hunt in the woods by himself and forage for food for 3 days. He has to protect himself, come up with his own shelter. He has to hunt for himself. And what is this psychologically doing? It is preparing the boy to break out of the cocoon to where he is under, right? He is under his parents or his mother or the womb in a protection. And what it does is it changes his belief to say that I can manage myself in the world. I am ready for the world. I do not need to be protected from the world. I am now prepared for the world. And when he is prepared for the world, I can get my own food. I can protect myself. He has a certain belief in self. A certain belief in self. But when he does not have that, he inverts into the boy, into this magical thinking. He doesn't want to work hard. He doesn't want to have to protect anybody. He doesn't want to have to be a man. He wants to be protected from the world. He then falls into the fantasies of his ideas, and he imagines his potential, and he believes that the imagining of his potential is enough versus living his potential out daily, executing, putting in the hard work, having the grit, having the resilience, fighting his way through life, not believing everything has to be fair, not getting overly caught in emotions. But the way that the boy develops to not become overly emotional, he has to watch a being in his circumference that elevates his emotional intelligence through observation so that he sees one handles themselves in a non-emotional manner, but rises above emotions in a moment where he know that that energy has risen up in him. So when he sees his father or someone that has a mind that can rise above emotions, he then observes that and said, that's the way I want to be. And it elevates him to want to mirror that action. So he see his father get into a situation, and instead of his father becoming emotional, instead of his father crying and breaking down, his father say, you know what? I'll be stoic. I'm going to handle my business. And then the son said, oh, that's the way to go about doing it. I want to be like that. Now, he transformed his vision of who he wants to be. So he starts to evolve into become like the image of his father. And he elevates himself into a higher level of consciousness. Because a father is one who elevates. So if you have a man in your life and he elevates you in an area, he has fathered you. If you read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he had one dad, right, that wasn't elevating him financially. And he had one dad that was elevating him financially. This one dad would teach him about savings and investing and things of that nature. The other dad did not have that guy. So what he had was he had a rich dad and a poor dad, but the rich dad could elevate him in the financial sense. So he was able to become a man in that area to manage or to manage his affairs correctly. So when we do not have the proper demonstration in our environment and men are seekers, we are observers. We are hunters with our eyes. But if we don't have that in our environment, then we cannot evolve and elevate. So some of us have the ability to teach ourselves based on the characteristics of your nature, but everybody's characteristics of their nature is different. See, a man does not operate in the I can't do. Because the metaphysics of the I can't do is a linguistic spell that you cast upon yourself because you don't believe in the traits that you have that empower you. I is in reference to the ego. Cant is a negative incantation, which is a repelling force. Do is the will, it's the action of. So when you say the ego does not have the power or the will to do something, then you are putting yourself in a position to using your own power against you. Because a man is force and power. A man has will. So when you believe something, you put intense amount of energy into that belief, casting it into reality and making it so, because that's what a man does. So a man can subjugate himself and oppress himself because a man is his mind. So you have to be careful with the way your mind produces and what your mind creates, because that's what a man is. He is his mind. When a man go crazy, what they say, that boy out of his mind. What you need to do, you need to remind yourself, reman yourself. When you remind yourself who you are remanning yourself. People sometimes try to do this for you, but you have to have a strong foundation in order to be able to do that. Because somebody can remind you, but the mind wasn't correct in the first place. They be like, bro, you a god, bro, you a king, bro, you so-and-so. But the foundation of your thinking was weak. So you can only remind somebody who has a strong foundation. So when they go back to that foundation, they standing on a square. A man cannot, is supposed to have access to move things in a charismatic way, but he himself is not supposed to be soft. A man is supposed to be stoic in his thinking. Is supposed to have the great ability to control his mind. He's supposed to be intellectual by nature, to analyze, observe, think, then do. An analytical man. He takes in information before he makes decision. And I'm gonna give you some game, fellas. You don't argue with your woman or a woman, period. Because a mind does not argue. Because a mind already knows what's right and what's wrong. A mind, an analytical mind, a man gets to the point. When you are dealing with your woman and a woman in the world, and women, y'all better listen up. You're not arguing with your man to be right. You're arguing with your man to be felt. Fellas, she don't care about being right. It's about being felt. Do you feel what I feel right now? That's all. What you think can be won by data, facts, conclusion, analytics, intellect, can actually be won through a hug. Can actually be won through a soft caress and kiss on the neck. Can actually be won through making a joke in a time where she testing you to see if you're going to get emotional, but instead you have full control and faculty over your mind. And now she can trust you to be who you think you are, because you are a man. You are a mind. When a mind is emotional, it is frantic. It can't make decisions. And the more that this emotional energy takes over the mind, it leads the mind away. It leads the mind astray. So now, if you don't have the ability to be in the world and have control over your mind, if you don't have the ability to take lead in this conversation, if you don't have the ability to keep your mind together while she is going through her emotional swaying of her feminine oceans, then she can't trust you as a mind or as a man to lead her. The worst time to get emotional with a woman is when she is emotional. Because then you're being feminine and she's being feminine, and that's repelling energy. No. If she's breaking down, you got to be a rock. So now she can lean on you. But ye think that as a man, we tried to come to a conclusion. This is, therefore, this is the point. No. Oh, you thought you won that, didn't you? What you're going to do is you're going to make her argue and debate with you. Now she's thinking logical. Now she's in her masculine. Now you're both masculine, repelling each other. Now she used that masculine analytical mind on you. Now there's no more attraction in the relationship. So the goal is to always to keep the flow going. It's the flow. Life is all about the flow. Flow is when skills meets challenge. And a woman is your gentle challenge. Now, if your woman is over challenging or too challenging or doing too much, that's when she has to revert and relax into a true feminine, a divine feminine. Because men and women, we have dark traits.